All right, so today we're diving into something really cool called Field Atlas. It was this incredible proposal pitched to MoMA, the Museum of Modern Art. And the whole idea isn't about changing what you see in a museum, but totally revolutionizing how you see it, and maybe even more importantly, how you actually remember it. But let's start with a question that I'm pretty sure hits home for almost everyone. Why is it that you can spend a whole day at a museum, fill your camera roll with pictures of amazing art, and then later, your actual memory of it is, you know, kind of fuzzy? You have the proof you were there, but that feeling, that little spark of insight, where did it go? And that feeling, that exact disconnect, leads us straight into what the folks behind Field Atlas call the museum paradox. It's a totally modern problem, and it's all tied up in our psychology and, yeah, our relationship with these powerful little devices we carry around everywhere. At the very heart of this paradox is a real thing, a psychological phenomenon called the photo-taking impairment effect. And it's kind of wild when you think about it. The second you snap a picture of something, your brain basically says, okay, cool, that's saved. I don't need to do the hard work of remembering it anymore. You're literally outsourcing your memory to your phone, like it's an external hard drive for your brain. So, what's the result? Well, it's this. Our camera roll gets fuller and fuller. We create these massive digital archives. But in doing that, we're kind of emptying out our own internal memory banks. We're capturing everything, but we're not really retaining anything. And that is the exact problem Field Atlas was designed to fix. Okay, so if the big problem is that we're turning our phones into a memory crutch, how do you even begin to reverse that? Well, this is where we shift from the problem to the solution, a new kind of tool that's not about just capturing a photo, but about actually curating a connection. And this slide right here makes a really crucial point. Field Atlas isn't trying to out-curate the museum. Look, MoMA's job is to flawlessly curate and present the masterpiece. That's what they do. Field Atlas has a different job. It helps you, the visitor, build your own personal story, to curate the connection you have with that art. This tagline just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? You've got the masterpiece on the wall, you've got the visitor snapping a photo, but there's this huge, invisible space in between. That's where the thinking happens, the feeling, the questions. And that is the space Field Atlas wants to capture. So how on earth does it actually work? Well, the whole system is designed to be what they call an AI thinking partner. The goal is to nudge you from being just a passive viewer into someone who's actively reflecting and making sense of what you're seeing. Let's walk through it. The whole process is actually incredibly simple. Step 1, you do exactly what you'd normally do. You see a piece of art that grabs you, and you take a picture. But, and this is key, instead of just moving on, you hit record and leave a quick private voice memo with your gut reaction. Then, step 3 is the magic. The AI listens to what you said, and instead of giving you a history lesson, it sends back a thought-provoking question, one designed to push your thinking a little further. Okay, so let's imagine this in a real visit to MoMA. So you, the visitor, you're drawn to 3 totally different works. In front of a Chagall, you might mumble, "Whoa, a cow inside a face? Everything is overlapping." Then you see a Magritte and say, "They're kissing, but you can't see each other. It's like intimacy is impossible." And then in front of a giant Rothko, there's nothing here. No objects, no faces. It's just color pressing against color. See? These are just raw, in-the-moment thoughts. Now, let's zero in on that Magritte painting. The user talks about impossible intimacy. The AI doesn't come back with, "Fun fact, René Magritte was a Belgian surrealist artist born in 1898. No, it takes the user's own idea and reflects it back as a question. Can you truly be seen by someone who loves you? It's not an information dump. It's an invitation to go deeper. It's using your own words to unlock your own thinking. And then, after you've done this for a few pieces of art, this is the payoff. This is the big reveal. The app analyzes all your private little voice memos and uncovers a trajectory, a hidden theme that connects your whole journey. In this case, it synthesizes it all into this beautiful idea. Chagall merges boundaries, Magritte blocks them, and Rothko just removes them completely. Suddenly, your visit wasn't about seeing 3 random paintings. It was about exploring one big idea, seeing without barriers, from 3 different angles. It becomes your story. So that's an incredible, really meaningful experience for a visitor, for sure. But this is where the proposal makes a really strategic turn, because the real power of Field Atlas might actually be what it offers back to the museum itself. This is where it goes from a cool idea to a serious business proposal. Here's the problem for an institution like MoMA.
They're essentially operating in a black box. They've got tons of data on foot traffic, how many people came in, which rooms were the most crowded. But what are people actually thinking? What are they feeling when they stand in front of that art? They have absolutely no idea. That cognitive and emotional journey is a complete mystery. And Field Atlas promises to crack that black box wide open. All of those private voice memos, once they're anonymized and aggregated, become this treasure trove of qualitative data. Imagine being a curator and looking at a dashboard that shows you a keyword cloud of what people are actually saying in front of a certain Picasso, or the real-time sentiment analysis for a new exhibit. It's a level of insight they have just never, ever had before.
This table really just lays out that business strategy perfectly. For a casual visitor who just wants to see the highlights, this might be a bit much. But for an institution that's under pressure to prove its educational impact and its cultural value, this kind of data is pure gold. And that's why Field Atlas is pitched not as some free app for the masses, but as a powerful software-as-a-service tool that you sell directly to museums. It's a B2B model that solves their biggest problem.
But when you peel it all back, this proposal is about more than just a user experience or a clever business model. It's really driven by a much larger, almost philosophical vision about what technology should be doing in our lives.
The creators actually frame Field Atlas as the anti-Instagram. And it makes so much sense. Where Instagram is all about being fast, Field Atlas is slow. Where Instagram is public and performative, this is completely private and personal. One is driven by an algorithm trying to keep you scrolling forever. The other is curatorial, trying to get you to just stop and think. The whole goal isn't showcasing. It's genuine, deep thinking.
And that really brings us to the ultimate mission here. We live in an age of endless distraction, of infinite feeds that are literally rewiring our brains for short attention spans. This tool is positioned as a line of defense against that. It's a digital humanities fortress, a place designed to protect and strengthen our very human ability to observe, to reflect, and to make sense of the world.
And so we're left with this final, really provocative question. Imagine if a tool like this really took off. A city like New York wouldn't just be a collection of streets and buildings anymore. It would become a physical hard drive layered with millions of individual memories, subjective thoughts, and feelings. So when that happens, when thousands of different subjective realities are all pinned to the exact same physical spot, what even is objective reality anymore? It's a huge question that makes you realize technology isn't just mapping our world, it's fundamentally remaking it.